Hey everyone, I'm Julia. I am back in my kitchen again. It is Friday night. Tuesday is Valentine's Day. So I had the idea to bring some treats into the office on Tuesday. I go into the office every Tuesday and I do like to bring treats. I definitely do not do it every week, but I love to cook and bake. And we don't need to keep all of those baked goods at home for just me and my husband. So I was thinking I might do a little bit of baking tonight. Then I have something fun and festive to bring into work on Valentine's Day. It's just something I like to do every once in a while to bring in a treat to share with my coworkers. I'm gonna make some sugar cookies, and I have the idea that I also might make some truffles. The recipe that I'm using is my go-to all-time favorite sugar cookie dough. It is a no-chill dough that does not spread. I do sometimes still chill it, especially if I'm working in batches. I only have one really good baking sheet for cookies, so I do tend to throw whatever I'm not working with into the fridge, but it is so good. It uses almond extract, and whatever you cut out just holds its shape really, really well. So we'll get this started. This dough does not take a super long time to come together, so I'm going to get my oven preheating so I can hopefully throw in a batch of cookies as soon as they're done. And while I'm at it, I'm grabbing my good cookie sheet and my cooling rack that I will use. The first thing I need to do is get a cup of butter and a cup of white sugar creamed. So I have 2 sticks of butter that I took out of the freezer, I don't know, sometime earlier this afternoon. And I'm just going to throw them into my KitchenAid stand mixer with my paddle attachment, and I'll grab a cup of white sugar and we will get these creamed really well. Something that I have learned over my years of baking is it really is important to let that creaming process run. You don't want to stop as soon as your sugar and butter look mixed. I don't know the science behind it, but I know that when you let it keep creaming and creaming, that's when the color changes, the texture really changes, and that is what is intended. So whenever that is written in a recipe, don't think that you just mix it until they are combined. You really have to let that, whether you're using a stand mixer or an electric hand mixer, you just need to let it run for several minutes before it gets to the point where the recipe is intending it to be. I'm just scraping down the sides of the bowl. It's been going for probably about a minute, so we'll let it go for at least another 2. But yeah, it is important to scrape down your bowl just to make sure that everything really does get evenly incorporated. I really want to get one of those paddle attachments for the KitchenAid that has the kind of rubber edge on it that scrapes the bowl a little bit better than this. There's a lot of KitchenAid attachments that I would like to get. Maybe one day, maybe one day. While this is going, I'm actually gonna mix my dry ingredients in a separate bowl. I skipped that step when I made zucchini bread the other day, and I kind of regret it. So you can see the color has totally changed and it really does look light and fluffy. So I think that is good to go. The next step is to add almond and vanilla extracts and beat in 1 egg. This is my homemade vanilla extract. Normally I measure this from the heart, but because I don't want the flavor to be super overwhelming one way or the other, because the balance on these cookies really is just so great, I am going to measure today. And my egg. And as soon as those are combined, I will slowly add my dries into my wet. What I will do is scrape down these sides again. Oh, the almond extract smells so good. this looks a little bit dry. Ooh, that's okay. Because this is looking so dry, I am going to just get a little bit of water on my hands and do a tiny bit of kneading by hand before I start rolling my dough out. It's really just a tiny, tiny bit of water on my hands just to get the dough a little bit more moist. This is looking pretty good. This is a pretty big ball that I'm working with, so I'm actually just going to cut it in half, and I will actually probably wrap this little ball in some plastic wrap and throw it in the fridge just while I work on the first batch here. I'm gonna get out my rolling pin and give this a little roll. I'm going to roll this dough out one more time so I can get one last cookie on this sheet. First sheet of cookies ready to bake. The recipe says these cook for 6 to 8 minutes, so I'll check them after 6. In the meantime, I am going to wrap the last little piece here and throw that in the fridge as well, and I'll use that on my next batch that I bake. And I'm going to do a little bit of cleaning because I did kind of make an enormous flour mess. I don't know why I didn't think that that flour was gonna fly everywhere when I added it to my stand mixer, but it did. So I will use this time to get on top of the rest of the stuff that needs to be done in the kitchen. My timer for 6 minutes is about to go off. These are just not done. I'm going to give them another 2 minutes. They are looking set. And these are cookies that we really want to stay light. We don't want them to brown at all. I think they needed just a little bit more time. So we will see another 2 minutes if that is perfect. They are looking pretty good. I'm gonna see if I can gently check the bottom. Yeah, those are actually perfect. I'm gonna let these cool on this sheet for just a minute so that they get a little more solid, and then I'll transfer them to my cooling rack where I will let them cool completely. And I am not going to get to the decorating today, but I should get all of them baked. Now the trick is to get your second batch and your third and fourth, however many batches, rolled out to the same thickness so that all of your cookies are relatively uniform. One of the kitchen gadgets that I would love to have one day is a rolling pin that has those little gauge things that you sort of put on the edge. And that takes a lot of the guesswork out of having to, use your own discernment. The rolling pin basically does the thinking and the work for you. So the first sheet had 8 cookies, the second one had 9, which is 17. My office has I think all in we're about 23 people. I do know our entire team is gonna be there because we have our monthly staff meeting on Tuesday. And I'm realizing we're probably gonna have treats for Valentine's Day on that day, but hopefully I can get at least, so what did I say, 17, 18, 19, 20. I don't think we're quite going to get enough for everybody to have one. But to be honest, I don't think that's a problem because I know that there's some people who aren't gonna eat one, so we will just see exactly how many we can get and not stress if we're like a couple of cookies short. I was kind of hoping that there were gonna be more than enough so that I could keep some for me and my husband, but that is actually okay because I made an apple pie last night and we've already eaten half of it. So we probably don't need extra sweets and treats, although I bet he is gonna be bummed if he sees these when he comes home and I tell him that they're not for him. I think I have exactly enough cookies for everybody to have one at my office, including myself. So that kind of worked out perfectly. That is not how I was expecting to do this, but that's great. Okay, timer's going off. We're gonna do the same thing that we did the first time. I will take these cookies out. And this timing is actually perfect. My husband just called me. He is on his way home from work now. So I probably have a half an hour until he's home and we're just gonna go out and grab a quick bite to eat. Yeah, I think timing is actually gonna work out absolutely perfectly. Like I said, I know that there's a couple people in my office that won't eat these cookies for various dietary and, you know, preference reasons. I still like to have enough that people can have more than one of something if they so choose. So what I think I'm gonna do is actually make another set of treats. And it is a little like bonbon kit, what do you call it? A truffle kit. And so we also probably don't need all of those just for the two of us. I don't know how many it yields, but I'm sure it yields more than we need to keep at home. So what I might do is keep a few of these cookies back and then keep a few of the truffles for us. So there won't be one of everything for everybody, but there will be an assortment and people can pick and choose what they want, and there will be plenty on that assortment for people to have. Now I'm thinking maybe I should also buy like some Hershey's Kisses or like some other little treat that I can put on a platter just to sort of fill it out a little bit more. Okay, those were the last cookies out of the oven, and I probably still have about 15 minutes before my husband gets home. He's not even coming inside. He's pulling up, I'm getting in the car and we're going to dinner. So that leaves me just enough time, I think, to get the kitchen really cleaned and yeah, to have step one of this project done. So I'll check back in with you later this weekend when we do step 2 to decorate these cookies. Okay, it is Saturday. Cookies are cooled. I just put them in a Ziploc bag overnight and I am going to decorate them. I'm just gonna use a simple royal icing, and honestly, it's not even a royal icing. I think I'm just gonna do powdered sugar and water, and I'm gonna put some food coloring in to make it pink, and then I have some red sprinkles as well. In this bowl, I already put about a cup of powdered sugar. I may need more than that, but that's what I'm gonna start with. I'm gonna start just with a teaspoon of water and some drops of red food coloring. And I'll get a fork and start mixing that up. Okay, so this is what I think I'm gonna do. I have my sprinkles here. We're just going to try this. Ooh, okay. That worked pretty well. And then I will sprinkle. And I will transfer these to my drying rack as I go. running low on icing, so I added more sugar and water without adding any more food coloring. So the color on the rest of these will be a little bit lighter. And then I will have sort of, you know, an assortment, different colors on the different cookies. You can't tell the color difference too clearly. I think it's because I put red sprinkles on all of them anyway, but these ones are sort of the lighter pink, and these ones are the original deeper pink. Okay, cookies are all done. Once that icing hardens, I will be able to gently stack them to bring them into work, but I'm just gonna let them sit out for quite a while until they're nice and hard. Cookies done. And you might have seen in the back of the shots, I did end up buying some chocolates when I was at the grocery store this morning just to fill out whatever platter I'm going to end up making. Good morning. We are back another day to get these Valentine's Day treats knocked out and done. I got all of the cookies sealed in this bag. I let them sit out and dry, and they are totally dry, so I could get them in this bag to take to work with me on Tuesday. I have this kit that my mom sent me from Uncommon Goods to make truffles. One thing I know I'm going to alter, and maybe this is bad, is the recipe calls for 1/2 cup of heavy cream or coconut cream, and we have 1/2 in the house, so I'm not gonna go buy heavy cream just for this, especially because it's only 1/2 cup. So I'm gonna use 1/2 and 1/2 instead of heavy cream. And I did look up, I think I'm gonna add a little bit of extra butter because it also calls for a tablespoon of butter or margarine. So I might do like 1.5 tablespoons just to up the fat content. And it came with dark chocolate chips, and then packets of cocoa powder, coconut flakes, and coarse sea salt, in addition to peppermint extract and vanilla extract. And it came with a little candy thermometer because I guess we will be tempering chocolate, and I've never tempered chocolate before. So we're gonna see how this goes. I've never done anything like this. It looks like it involves a lot of chilling and cooling and waiting. So I'm hoping that it doesn't take too long. It actually doesn't even say how long it should take. I did read through all of the instructions before, and it's funny because they say in bold and italics, we recommend reading through the entire booklet before getting started. I did that yesterday. What am I supposed to do this on? Okay. Grabbing my smallest saucepan and 1/2 cup of 1/2 and 1/2. Plus my butter. I think I'll do, yeah, just like eyeballing a little bit more than a tablespoon. I don't think truffles are meant to be healthy, if you know what I mean. Okay, I will get this going to melt, to warm. I think I'm going to melt my chocolate in this bowl, and then I grabbed just some small Pyrex like food storage containers. That is melting. I'm gonna turn the temp down a little bit just so that it doesn't boil. And now I'm gonna measure out 1 cup of my chocolate chips, cream, my 1/2 and 1/2, and my butter mixture going into my chocolate chips. While this is sitting for another 4 minutes or so, I'm gonna prepare my 3 shallow containers, leaving 1 empty, and then adding 1/4 teaspoon of the vanilla and the peppermint extract to the other 2. And then I have to freeze for about 30 minutes once I scoop that in. Even though I have my own homemade vanilla extract, I am just gonna use what's in this container because there's no point in keeping it and just having it sit in my cabinet. I might as well use it. Okay, so this is the vanilla. They're so cute. The directions say to start with 1/4 teaspoon and increase from there. I just rinsed off my measuring spoon so that the peppermint flavor wouldn't be contaminating. I'm feeling good about this now. I was pretty nervous and stressed because I've never done something like this, and when I read through the instructions the other day, it just seemed like a lot of steps, but I think it's just overly explaining because it's a kit. And if they turn out good, then this seems like a pretty easy treat to like have in my arsenal and be able to whip out whenever I want. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes. I'm going to remove my lid and give this a stir, and hopefully the residual heat is enough to get my chocolate totally melted. Okay, this is looking pretty smooth now, and then I will divide this as best as I can into these 3 containers that I've prepared. I've got my plain, my vanilla, and my peppermint, so I'm just gonna start pouring a little bit at a time until I feel like I've got it even. So I'm just gonna grab a little dessert fork for the ones that have the flavoring in them. I'm just gonna do my best to get these combined really well. All right, I'm gonna pop these in the freezer and set a timer. Well, I don't need to set a timer. It's 10 o'clock in the morning exactly. So at 10:30, I will pop these out and get working on the next step. And while those are chilling, I'm gonna just get the rest of the stuff cleaned up, throw the trash away, get my bowl washed, and get ready, prep what I need to for the chocolate tempering. You guys, I'm reading these instructions again, and there's so much waiting. So they go in the freezer for 30 minutes, then you shape them into the balls, but then you have to put them back in the freezer for 15 minutes. And then that's when you do your tempered chocolate. All right, well, I might find something to do in the meantime because I'm kind of just standing around waiting. Okay, 30 minutes is up. Gonna grab those out of the freezer and roll them into balls. I'm trying to remember which one is which. Okay, I didn't get a piece of parchment, which I need. All right, I am supposed to use a small scoop or spoon to form roundish shapes about the size of a small cherry, and then freeze for another 15 minutes. Okay. Is that the size of a small cherry? These aren't supposed to be in perfect balls at this point. After this goes in the freezer and they harden up even more, that is when you take them out and reshape them. So they kind of just look like little piles of brown. What I am gonna do is take a Sharpie and just mark that these are plain with a little P and draw a line. Okay, the vanilla is like a little more goopy, and I'm sure it's because there's liquid in it, and the alcohol also probably, we're lowering the freezing point. I don't know. I feel like these will need more than 15 minutes to firm up. Very appetizing. Interesting, the peppermint is firmer than the vanilla. I wonder why. All right, that's what we've got, guys. Okay, into the freezer we go. I've got plenty of time while those go back in the freezer, but I am gonna set up my double boiler. So I just need 2/3 a cup of the chocolate chips in my bowl. That's gonna go on top of my pot here. And you melt it, you bring the temperature down, and then you add another 1/3 of a cup of chocolate while off the heat to bring the temperature down. And then once it's melted, you bring the temperature back up, and that's what tempers it. I've never done this before. There is a lot of room for me to mess up, and if I do, oh well. So then for this, I'm just gonna do a heaping 1/3 of a cup set aside. I checked on those a couple minutes ago. My time is pretty much up, and they were still kind of soft. So we'll see how they are, but what I'm going to do is pull them out, roll them into balls, and then stick that whole thing back in the freezer. Once I get my chocolate tempered, then I will pull them out and, you know, dip them in the chocolate and do whatever I need to do. They're interesting. All right, well, I'm gonna try to work quickly. Oh yeah, this is a mess. This is a mess. Oh boy. I honestly don't even know if this is worth it. If I should just do this right before I temper them, because I feel like I'm losing half of it on my fingers. Oh God. Y'all, this just might not work. The plain ones are definitely the most set up. I can tell that. Yeah, and the vanilla ones are definitely the most liquidy. Oh, this is not working. Okay, you know what? Plan B. I don't even know what plan B is. Okay, I took a second to think it over. Do I have chocolate on my face? I'm gonna see if I can salvage the plain ones and maybe the peppermint ones. The vanilla, I think, is too far gone. I think I'm gonna just like put that in a container and we can eat it with a spoon. Or ooh, maybe we can dip strawberries in it. That might be tasty, but not bring that to work. Or do I bring that to work with strawberries? No, that's too extra. I am gonna get to tempering this chocolate and we're just gonna see how it goes. Honestly, if they're bad, I'm just not gonna bring them into work and we'll just keep it with the cookies and the chocolates that I bought, and I'm not gonna worry about it because this is for fun and nobody is expecting anything of me, and I'm just gonna do it, okay? I'm just gonna do it. Whatever. I'm gonna get my heat on. I also have the, what do you call this? The candy thermometer. I think it's just like a meat thermometer, a food thermometer. I have my instructions, once again, not ever getting hotter than 120. Once this is melted, I take it off the heat, stir in this chocolate, and let it get down to 80 degrees. And once it's down to 80 degrees, I put it back on the heat to bring it to 90. And then I test for temper by making a small streak of chocolate on parchment paper. The streak should harden quickly around the edges and set at room temperature. This is a great example of things not always going to plan in the kitchen. Obviously, I had never made this. This was a kit. This wasn't even a recipe that I found. But I thought it was gonna be harder than it was. But actually, it's easy. It's just not turning out right. Maybe it's because I used half and half instead of cream, but I did add the extra butter. I really don't know. And honestly, I can't be bothered. I need to just not care. And this is fun. And honestly, it has been kind of fun. And it's really tasty what I've tasted so far. Okay, this is nice. My chocolate is just starting to melt. We are almost melted here. I'm going to check the temp really quick. All right, it is definitely over where we need it to be. So I'm gonna turn this off, remove this from the heat, add in my other chocolate, and stir this. Okay, this took quite a while to come down, but I think I'm finally at just about 80. Yeah, this literally says it's still at 90. God, this is just taking a really freaking long time. Dude, it still has this over 90. What the heck? Ugh. All right, I give up. I'm putting it back on. It's reading around a little above 80, but I just can't be bothered, you guys. So now I need it to get back up to 90. I mean, it says it's already back up. Like, I just don't know. Okay. Things have not gone to plan. I did get, these are the plain ones. They look like absolute garbage. I do think my chocolate tempered, but there is still no way I can handle these ones. And based on how this went and how this is looking, I am basically giving up and calling it a day. I'm not gonna bring any of these to work. I think these ones that set, my husband and I will eat, and then all of this garbage will probably just spoon off of the tray into our mouths. This chocolate, little disappointing. I know that people struggle to temper chocolate. I don't know why I thought I was gonna be any different. I thought, oh, this is not so hard. Well, it is, and I learned that the hard way, I suppose. I'm not going to blame the kit because I didn't follow the instructions exactly. I didn't use heavy cream, but something was not right, whether it was my fault or something else. Maybe I will try to find a truffle recipe online and try to have a redemption arc at some point. I am not gonna do that today. That will not be for Valentine's Day. But I do have my bag of cookies and my chocolates. So those are still ready to take to the office. And at the end of the day, it's all just for fun and to show folks that I care. So not my finest hour in the kitchen, but that's life. Sometimes things just don't go to plan, and that is totally okay. Thanks for spending time with me in the kitchen over the past few days, trying to prep some treats to take to work with me on Tuesday. I hope you have a great Valentine's Day. Give this video a thumbs up if you have ever failed in the kitchen, and leave me a comment down below and let me know what that fail was to help me not feel so bad about this absolute failure that I have made today. If you aren't already subscribed, please make sure you do that so you never miss an upload. And thanks again for hanging out, guys. See you next time.